Take a seat and get comfortable on the coaching couch.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Coaching Couch. I'm your host, Yvonne Lorraine, life coach from Innovative Visions. And today I have my hosting partner here, Miss Sharon Taylor. Welcome, Sharon.
And her client extraordinaire. Hi, I'm Sharon Taylor, founder and CEO of the Vision and Business Development Center, and I'm here ready for my session on the coaching couch. What are we talking about today, Yvonne?
Well, Sharon, today we're going to talk about being intentional. We're going to talk about being intentional with our thoughts and our decision making.
Okay.
All right. So one may ask, well, what does that mean? And why is that important? And I would say because we can find ourselves very easily just making decisions that are connected to the circumstances that we have without putting any real thought into not only what the decision needs to be at that time, but being intentional to think about also how is that going to impact us further down the line. It may be how's it going to impact us further. It may be how's it going to impact our kids if we make this decision at this time about being intentional. So just want to kind of remind people to be intentional. Because I'm quite sure I can share times where, I may have made some choices and just being transparent with it, Sharon. I'm not even going to say that it wasn't intentional because I intentionally made them, but I just didn't care about the outcome.
Right.
I didn't take anybody else into consideration about the outcome. And, sometimes that worked for me and sometimes it didn't. But how about
I agree totally. I used to just operate off the cuff. I didn't even think. I mean, the thing popped in my head and out my mouth and into action so quickly that sometimes it even shocked me. I'd be like, I said what and did what? So now I have learned and still trying because sometimes when emotions are involved, I try to sit back, take a beat, take a breath, and say, one, is this action going to get me closer to the result that I want? Or is it going to push me further away? And everything has a consequence, good or bad. And we can't always see what the consequences are, but we know if we go up and cut somebody out who's our boss, know that's not going to end well.
Right. Look, unless you intentionally trying to get fired.
And she going to intentionally give you a pink slip.
Yes. So for our listeners, Sharon, so that word intentional, I mean, that plays out in a lot of different areas for real. Like you just mentioned in the workplace, being intentional about the plans for our lives. What's important about that is when you're intentional about the steps that you're taking, you need to know that those steps that you're taking are the steps that's needed to get you to where you're trying to go. Because we start the new year talking about our goals and things we want to do for the new year. And then we just go at it with no intention, no thought about how we're going to get there. It's not magic. It really isn't.
And it's like when you said that, it made me picture just a kite in the sky, just going here and that, has no direction, or balloon, and then all of a sudden you open your hand and the string and it's just gone, and you're like,
what? Or in the case that I remember, the wind must have stopped blowing and it just crashed. Either way.
We need to be more intentional.
So much so. And when I hear that word, especially when we talk about in this instance, being intentional means planning for real.
Okay.
Take a moment to plan, take a moment to put it on paper, think about it, and to just remember that, we're not saying that it's going to happen exactly that way because we're not totally in control, but it does give us a guide and, a
Yeah.
direction to head towards. So when the shift takes place, we're not totally caught off guard or totally surprised because you have been intentional about the decisions. Like, and I can share an example, Sharon. So when I was at Prince George Community College, I had
Mhm.
a professor who was very, very intentional about everything. Like every word that came out of his mouth, I'm sure it was intentional, right? But the thing that impressed me about him was because he cared about his students. So I happened to be one of those students where he sat me down and helped me to plan out my education. Like found out what I was interested in. And I couldn't tell him a whole lot, because that was back in my 20s. So I really didn't know where I was going, to be honest. But you
You
know,
just glad you were there.
right, I'm just trying to get finished this community college at that point. But he listened to me and he told me which degrees to go for in my bachelor's degree, my master's, up to my PhD, based off of the information that I shared with him. And I have followed that path. It might timing wise, it was not the same that we discussed, but far as actually going to school and pursuing my degree in those areas, it's been in the same direction of what he guided me. Now I'm at the last part, trying to make that decision. Might have to make a little shift there, but it always felt that I was moving in the right direction because I had a guide. It was intentional. It was like I knew once I finish here, the next thing is this. So that's why I think the intentional thing, even when we think about people coming into our lives, if we're not intentional about what we will stand for or what we do stand for, what we will not allow, you will allow anything to happen in relationships, whether it's an intimate relationship, a friend relationship. So there are a lot of different areas where we can consider being intentional.
I want to go back to you had a vision board course a little while back, and that to me helps people be intentional about where they want their life to go. If you have a vision, say financial freedom, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be intentional about the steps and the actions that you take to get there. Oh yeah, it's cute to put thousands of dollars on a vision board and look at it. But if
Right.
you are not intentional about getting to that goal with a timeline and action steps, then it's just a dream.
Mm-hmm. That's all it is.
That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, look, you said it right there. So, so I think that to wrap this all up, the most important thing is our lives are important enough and should be important enough to us to take a moment and to be intentional about the thoughts and the plans for where we're trying to go, what we want to do, about the thoughts and the plans for our careers and what it is that we would like to see have happen, and to just know that keep it flexible, but allow yourself to be intentional and do it for you. Because like Sharon just said, even when we dream it, dream big, dream large, but if you don't be intentional with the steps to help you get there, it's just going to continue to be a dream. So don't be
Right.
disappointed. So Sharon, I hope that helped share some light to someone to just take life a little, take a little more control of your life by being
Yes.
intentional about what you
Yes.
do
And stop being that kite that just flies through the sky.
or crash.
Thank you, Yvonne, for
Yes,
sharing your time and having me on the coaching couch today.
yes. Thank you for being with me, Sharon. And just want to share, you all know you can find me on social media. I am Yvonne Lorraine. My email address is I am Yvonne Lorraine at gmail.com. And Sharon, please share how they can get in touch with you and all that
And
you bring
me
to the
and
table,
you and
please.
us.
Right, because you are so amazing. So get your pen and paper out.
So our email address is info@thebvdcenter.org. And also you can follow us on YouTube at the Business Vision and Development Center YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe.
Please do. Look. Bye.
See you
Thank you,
next
Sharon.
time.
All right.
Like, share, and subscribe.